Um, oh, no, come back. This is what happens when you make a ratchet tripod out of a Swiffer. Okay, I think we're good. What's up, guys? I'm back with another video about Australia today. So I previously posted my video about the things about Australian schools that were different from American schools and kind of my experience there and what I went through trying to adjust to schools, but adjust to school, not schools. But I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk more about just the things in everyday life about Australia that were really different to America that required a lot of adjustment and, were just different. So, yeah, I guess I'll just get started. Just the first kind of general things, the slang in Australia is very different. It takes some getting used to. They like to shorten all their words. Kind of one of the stereotypical things is instead of like chocolate, they say chalky. Instead of biscuits, which is like cookies for them, they'll say bicky. So like, hey, you want a chalky bicky? Just things like that. McDonald's, they call Macca's, which was weird, but I kind of got used to it. I kind of liked it, but just things like that, it kind of takes you a second to be like, huh? Whenever they're like saying things, because I like to shorten all their words and just like say everything as quickly as possible, but yeah, that wasn't that big of a deal. I kind of liked that. One of the main things that frustrated me as an American, just because, here we're surrounded by food and we're surrounded by all types of food at all times, and especially me, my parents own a restaurant, my family are like food people, it's just what I do, it's what I'm used to. The food in Australia is so different. There's just so few options, I feel, compared to here, which, we probably have way more options than we'll ever need, but just, I don't know, for example, there were really only like a handful of fast food places, at least in my town, Adelaide, where I was. There's really just McDonald's, Subway, and Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King. Other than that, really, no. Like, here we have like Whataburger, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A, like Taco Bell, I don't know, Chicken Express, like all Jack in the Box, like all these things. We just have so many options, and there were just so few. And even those options that you did have, like McDonald's, the menu was like a third of the size of our menu. Like there were just so many less options. Like I remember I went to McDonald's for breakfast one morning and I wanted my like sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle. Like I could literally taste it. I was so excited for it. And it just like wasn't even on the menu. Like there are just so few things that they have. I mean, they basically just have the basics is what I would say. Everywhere you go, there's not like a bunch of flair, a bunch of like million options. It's just kind of like basic, all the main things people order, I guess. So that was different. A thing that was so hard for me, probably the hardest thing for me, is that they just don't really do sauces there. Like, I'm a sauce queen. I need sauce on everything. I need ranch on my ranch. Ranch, no, they don't have it. Like, they just don't have it. They just, not a thing. The only place that I even saw that had ranch was Subway to like put on your sandwich, but you literally couldn't even buy a bottle of ranch in the store if you wanted one. It's just not there. It's not an option. And the sauce section of the store is like this big. They have ketchup, which they would call tomato sauce, and like mayonnaise. Garlic aioli was a big thing there, but like, they just have the basics. There's just not many options. And then I remember at McDonald's, they don't just give you sauce. Like, you have to ask for it, and I'm pretty sure, I feel like you had to pay for it. I might be wrong, but my point is that sauce isn't just like a given. Like you kind of have to like seek it out if you want it. And I remember at McDonald's, they literally only had like barbecue sauce and sweet and sour, which just kind of like hurt my soul. Like I need all my choices, and it just made me like really sad. But yeah, so that was like a big thing. Also kind of random, but mac and cheese is just like nowhere to be found. Like it was literally nowhere in the store. I mean, I'm being dramatic. There were a few little options, like a few frozen dinner mac and cheeses, and like you could get mac and cheese in like a can, which is kind of like kind of like SpaghettiOs sort of thing. But like, I don't know, here I'm just used to a whole aisle of like mac and cheese options, and that just wasn't really available. There were a lot of other things that at the time I remember just being frustrated that I couldn't get, but I can't think of them all right now. But yeah, I guess that's the main thing. One exciting thing though is there they eat kangaroo, which at first was really weird to me and really strange, but I tried it and it's pretty good. It's pretty cheap. We had a lot of like kangaroo burgers and like spaghetti and kangaroo meatballs and things like that, and it's kind of interesting. Kind of tastes like beef. I get like a little bit freaked out about the like exotic meats just because I can't stop thinking about what I'm eating. But yeah, that was kind of like a fun thing. But besides that, I've come back and everyone's asking me like, oh, how was the food in Australia? And the only thing I can think to say is like boring. Like there just weren't too many options. But you know, it's not like I starved. I had everything that I needed, but just compared to here, it was very different. Another big thing that I had to adjust to there, kind of speaking of food, was their units of measurement. They don't use the same units that we do. Everything with them is like grams and kilograms, and you know, they don't use ounces and cups and things like that. Also, along with food, they don't use calories. They use kilojoules, which was so hard for me because literally for the first like 3 months, I couldn't figure out the system, and because you don't realize how often you look at the calories on something until like it's literally not an option. Some things would have the calories on it, but basically everything was kilojoules. And if I'm right, I want to say the daily amount of kilojoules there you're supposed to have was like 8,700 or something like that. I know it was 8,000 something, but you know, here you're used to seeing like, oh, the daily amount is like 2,000 calories. So that was just kind of an adjustment because you couldn't really figure out how much was in things. But yeah, I kind of got used to it after a while, but just very different. I really didn't realize that anywhere in the world didn't use calories, which I guess is my bad, but it was just different. Along with the units, they use, you know, kilometers and then like Celsius temperature, which I have such a hard time with Celsius. And I know that it's like pretty much only America and maybe a couple other places that are on the, like the Fahrenheit system, but Celsius is just so hard for me. Still at this point, all I know is like 0 is freezing and 30 is like really hot. And that's pretty much all I can get through my head because everything else is just like, no, it just goes right over. I just don't understand. But they also didn't understand Fahrenheit at all. My boyfriend, like, he's from England and he's on the Celsius system too. And we always have a hard time, like, in the morning asking, like, oh, what's the temperature out? And, like, neither one of us know it in the other degrees. But, yeah, very different. Kind of moving on to a different subject. Another thing that was weird was nights out, like, going out. Places stayed open so late. Like, people in Australia can party hard. Like, I'm from a college town, and I thought that we, like, partied kind of hard here, but the main area in, like, College Station where you have, like, all the bars and stuff, it literally completely closes at 2 a.m. Like, done, get out, like, no one's there anymore. Like, you can't just stay out all night. Like, you can if you go to a friend's house or something, but there aren't really places that are open at all past 2 a.m. Where in Adelaide, literally, like, people would stay out at clubs till like 6 in the morning, and like on the streets we'd be like waking up in the morning and there's still like drunks out on the street like screaming and stuff, and like the streets are trashed, and like at 8 a.m. like the people come around to start cleaning up all the mess and stuff. But just like, God, people stayed out all night and partied like so hard, and places stayed open so late, and that was just crazy for me. Like, I remember there was this club right by our apartment that we went to a lot, and I was there and it was like 5 a.m. and I'm just like, what am I still doing out? Like, I'm dying right now. I'm exhausted, but people just go all night. I don't know. It's very crazy. And kind of in contrast with the really late nights were, and this is the thing that honestly was the most frustrating thing for me to like deal with while I was there. Everything closed so early. Like, oh, it was so irritating actually, because basically all the shops are closed at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. shut, like, get out. Except for there was this one grocery store that would stay open Monday through Friday until 9 p.m. And then on the weekends, it closed at 5. And, you know, some shops and stuff on like Friday night would stay open a little bit later, like maybe 8 or something, but for the most part, everything's just closed at 5 p.m. And if you need something, there's just like not any options. Like I remember just the night that I was like packing to come home, I didn't think everything was going to fit in my suitcase, and in my head I was like, you know, like worst case scenario, like I'll just go get a duffel bag and like throw the rest of my stuff in there, but it literally wasn't an option. There's no place open like in the middle of the night or even past 8 or 9 p.m. or, you know, 5 on the weekday that you can go get something. I'm just so used to here knowing that like if I need something, Target, like Kroger, like all these stores are open to at least 10 or 11, and then some stores like Walmart are open like 24 hours, and like you can get anything you would ever need at Walmart. So I don't know, it's just, it was so weird and annoying, like not having a place to go to, just knowing that like crap, if I need something or if I need, you know, food or whatever, that there's no options. And you know, there were some days that like we'd go on vacation, like for the weekend, like we went to Sydney, we went to Melbourne, like y'all saw the vlogs of that, and we'd get back, like our flight would land at 6 and like there's no grocery store open, there's nowhere to get food. Of course there were like a couple convenience stores that stayed open 24 hours or really late, but you know, they're convenience stores, there's not much there, and it's so expensive. Yeah, speaking of expensive, that's not even something I touched on. The cost of living there is outrageous. Like, I'm gonna do a whole nother video about my apartment that I lived in, but yeah, just my rent there was like $500 every 2 weeks. So like $1,000 a month for my like tiny apartment. And just food was ridiculously expensive. You kind of got used to it after a while, but the cost of living there is very high. I know the wages are a lot higher, but yeah, just everything costs so much, and you need to be prepared for that when you go over there, because the first week or two, it's definitely a shock getting used to like how much money you're spending on everything. But kind of got off on a tangent there. But anyways, that's pretty much it. Those are the main things I can think of. There's probably 10 other things I'll think of like after I've stopped recording this video. But yeah, that's the differences in Australia and America. I loved Australia. I loved everything about it. I'm sure I'll be back there. This isn't a video to say that I hate Australia and it sucks or anything, but you know, these are just the things that were an adjustment for me. It's not bad, it's just different, which is something that I found myself saying a lot in Australia. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll probably have a couple more Australia videos coming. But yeah, for now that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!